Hey all, I'm Charlie, and I'm joined here today by an absolute musical powerhouse based on Kaurna Land, the singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, My Chérie. How are we going today?
I'm good, thank you. I love that we get to communicate all across the galaxies through Zoom, the
Yes.
beautiful power of Zoom. Yeah.
Yep. Honestly, it was popularized through a nasty thing, but now we can use it for good, and that's
Yeah,
that's the best thing.
love it.
Yeah. I'm so excited to chat today because you've got a song coming out. I think by the time people are watching this, it will be out. So go listen to it. It is called Life Is. This track is such a beautiful sonic experience. You press play and it feels like for the entire runtime you're transported into this different world where all you can think about is the song, what you're hearing and what you're feeling. I think it is a truly gorgeous piece. Could you talk us through Life Is?
Thank you. That's nice to hear because, yeah, I haven't shared it with anyone yet. So that's like the first kind of little opinion. Yeah. Um, well, the lyrics actually came first with this one. And generally, I seem to be more of like a melody first kind of writer. So I was flying home after a few months of travel, and I struggled to kind of get the words out while I was away. And then on the flight home, it was like the long 30-hour flight,
Yeah.
and I was just feeling really like introspective and kind of reflecting on the time and everything that went wrong and all the
Mm.
good times and that kind of like the feeling of feeling two things at the same time.
Mm.
I wrote all the lyrics exactly how it is. I don't think I edit the lyrics at all. And then when I got home and I wasn't jet lagged and I picked up my guitar, it was like the melodies just flowed so crazy. Like I feel like I was in a different kind of zone, really. Like I don't even remember it. It was like I just had to kind of sing it out, and the melody is quite like up and down and stuff. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. And then produced and recorded it with Mario Spate, a really good Adelaide-based producer. And yeah, we got that kind of like real band sound, which I haven't done in my music yet in releases, I think. Um, yeah, so that was kind of the journey with it, and finally out.
I love that. Like hearing that it just came together so naturally. It had something so special. Like you hear some songs that they topped the charts, but they had 30 writers and they took 3 months to make a 3-minute song. And it gets to the point where it's like I would have given up on that. But
Mm,
sometimes things are just like meant to be in the universe, and that is such a special thing.
yeah. I agree. And I think it really showed me how important life experience is. Like, if you're just kind of in the same room doing the same thing and then trying to write something new, your brain just can't kind of. So I don't know. I mean, I'm doing the thing right now with like the contradictions of two
Yeah.
things. And like, what? I think I always just do. So the song had to happen.
Mm.
But on one hand, I feel like, we can like really persist and you can work really hard and like come back to a song and all of that can still create a great song. But yeah, those magic moments, that's like the creative flow and when yeah, you kind of feel like you had nothing to do with it in a way.
Mm.
It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I love that. And yeah, you mentioned you wrote this on a flight back home from Europe, it was?
Yeah, I was going
Yeah.
through a bit of a weird time, and then I was like, I need to do my big girl summer Europe. um,
Yeah.
and it was 3 months. I think I kind of went because I wanted to like prove a bit to myself. Like, I don't know, I think having ADHD and stuff, I just was like, I want to prove that I can be organized and
Mhm.
independent and like make my own decisions on this trip. And that was kind of my like intention with it. And then when I was there, it was like, so good. Met so many people and like people who I talked about in like the second verse of the song. was a few like real people
Mm.
being mentioned. Um, but yeah, there was also, you know, big battles when you are like kind of away for a bit. Like I was so aware of my privilege the whole time,
Mm.
and that almost stopped me from like being able to enjoy a lot of it. Like I just felt so
Yeah.
self-indulgent to be like kind of just traveling. Like I did some music, but
Mm.
yeah, just kind of I guess recognizing that even in like the great moments, you can still be like missing someone and feeling like two things at the same time. So yeah.
Mm. Oh, I love that so much. There's such like yeah, the balance in the lyrics. It's like the I've worked for this. I'm excited I'm doing this, but also it's not like this for everyone. And it's that sort of like dual perspective, which is so important and refreshing to see. Like in this sort of world where songs seem to be taking a safer path, like I'm not sure if this is an actual thing or if it's just something I've noticed through my consumption. But in the past few years, especially like this year and end of last year, a lot of music seems to be really safe and like straying away from like anything political or anything that's going to like make some big social commentary. But in this song, you're talking about the real and you're actually talking about real experiences without some sort of glossy, safe filter. How significant do you think it is as a musician and also like as a person who indulges in art and consumes art? How significant do you think it is to be using your platform and your music to discuss the real events and discuss what's actually happening?
Yeah. I think it's so incredible when I see people being really political, and it's something that
Mm.
I know that within myself I'd like to get more and more better at it. More and more better, I think that's good English. I don't know.
Mm.
But you know, I've seen there's like artists that I really admire when like, and a part of it is even just like that being like their whole thing.
Mm.
And I think with my upbringing and stuff, I've like I don't know. It's like I've always kind of. I think there's just more, I guess, within myself that I'd like to
Mm.
do to kind of be a bit more upfront about things. And it's, I don't know, it's a hard one with like protecting yourself and like, you know, your. I don't even know. Like we have kind of like sacred things within
Mm.
us that is hard to talk about, and like with me, one of that is like being queer, and I'm still working on being able to be open about that. Where I think when I see other people being so open about it, I'm like, I just know that I've had my life experience growing up in church and experiencing different culture and stuff, where there's a lot of work and a lot of healing and growth to be able to even talk about it. Where for some people, maybe they're like further on in their journey. And so I think as artists kind of talk about those things, we encourage each other. And sometimes you're doing it for someone who isn't ready or can't do that. And
Mm.
I guess that's why we do it, like to
Yeah.
for other people. If that, yeah, I think that makes sense.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Like, especially with identity wise aspects. I remember growing up, like, I was so lucky that I found such a love for music at like the start of my teenage years experience, whatever the heck you use to describe that scary time in your life. So I like used a lot of music and used a lot of other people's stories to help figure out what I was doing on this planet and who I was. And having stories that exist, having people talk about their experiences. Yes, sometimes they don't relate to what you've been through because life is so unique and everyone has so many like unique experiences. But they really do help uplift voices, inspire new voices, and it's just really special as like a fan to be able to listen to a song or like watch a movie or read a book that you can find yourself in and you can like have your experiences reflected in. I think it's so special.
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree. And I think, like, even looking back at previous years, like, there was, you know, like, there can be a lot of like hiding behind metaphors and things like that. And been just listening to like artists or like how like more indie songwriters that like singer-songwriters, sorry,
Yeah.
who like really focus on being specific in lyrics, and how it's almost like the more specific you are, the more it can relate to other people, even if it's something completely different that they aren't relating to. It's, I don't know, it's like the more you narrow it down. And so that's been kind of encouraging to try and be more like honest in a more upfront way with songwriting, because I think that is a really beautiful thing than just like, baby, yeah, ooh, like.
Hmm. Yeah. Like you
Yeah.
can sing along to both, but
Yeah.
one's just a radio top 40 hit. Like it's not much deeper than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that leads me to the next thing I would love to talk about, which is songwriting and especially your lyricism on this new track. Because sometimes, like, I remember in high school we did a big unit on poetry, and I'm like, I really want to like delve deeper into poetry. And then I'm like, music is poetry. And this song, especially, like, just reading the lyrics isolated from listening to the actual song, it is poetic, it is gorgeously written. Would you sorry, this is a bit of a weird way to word it. I know you wrote this like on a flight in circumstances that weren't like your typical songwriting sort of setup, but could you talk us through your ideal songwriting process?
Hmm. Um, oh, I think songwriting is such an interesting one.
Mm.
I know that I can have a lot of battles with it, just like any other artist. I think a lot of my previous, sorry, I'm just going to do a long-winded
Yeah, yeah.
answer and answer. um, but yeah, a lot of my like previous ones where they've been collaborations, I think
Mhm.
it can be a lot quicker because you kind of have someone else to bounce off of. Um, but when you are writing and it comes from like fully just the experience, I think those are my favorite ones, but they're usually the hardest ones, like the most vulnerable to release. Like if you've just had a fight with someone, you're like emotional, you're picking up the acoustic. That's very different to like going in for a session and being like, what do you
Mm.
want to write about? So I've kind of noticed that is maybe a way that I feel like I can get more real. I am also a producer, and so I think I have like the producer brain, and sometimes in the studio it can be hard if I've begun a production and then
Mm.
going like, okay, what lyrics do we add? But I've already been listening to the song for like 7 hours, the emotion's there, and then I like
Mm.
overthink the lyrics that should go with it because I'm like, oh, nothing's coming out in the feeling that I've now created. Um, so yeah, I've kind of experimented a lot with like different things, and this song and like the next release of ones where it came directly out of experiences and then gone into the studio and then added production rather than the other way around. Um, and I think that seems to be working really well right now. And I think, yeah, ideally is when it just flows, but it sometimes doesn't. So I've been working on like having like going back to a second verse and not giving up on
Mm.
songs, because it's really easy when you do have lots of melodies, lots of things in your head. It's so easy to just kind of move on to the next thing, and then I have so many songs, but how many is
Mm.
released? Not that many. So it's kind of, yeah, that's, yeah. But I don't know what the exact ideal is. I'm not really sure. Yeah.
Honestly, that's so valid. Like, it's such a thing that comes in so many different ways. I know, like, my notes app for the past like 5 years, I open up a note, I'm like, oh, these would be great lyrics. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, nope, it's gone. Like, move on, close the app, open it up a month later, and you've got like 20 started documents with just like 3 lines that have been abandoned.
Yeah. I don't know how many songs have been lost purely because of my bad organization with files. Like
Hmm.
how many voice recordings when in the moment I was probably like, this is amazing, then forgot about it, or in the notes. Like, Yeah, it's probably worth even just kind of flipping. Even I have like 4 or 5 lyric books because they all start off as a book for lyrics, and then I'll put a to-do list in there, and then
Yeah.
the lyrics just like everywhere. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I find it so interesting when artists are like two big examples of this, like Taylor Swift has done it a lot with like releasing vault tracks. She's gone back 10, 15 years and found songs she wrote back then. And like Ballpark Music with their new album said they did a lot of like going back and finding lines they wrote that never fit in. And I'm just like, how are you all keeping track of everything? Like revisiting these different phases in your life. It it feels
Mhm.
really scary to think about.
Yeah. Sometimes though, like a song can kind of haunt you, and it can like I don't know, you can pick up an instrument. Like I know for me, sometimes I've gone and I've played something on the guitar, and because my theory on instruments, like it's not incredible. I kind of know a little
Mm.
bit about everything rather than a lot on one. So I would like pick up an acoustic, have a specific melody, and then like the next week go to the piano, not realize I'm playing the same thing on a
Yeah.
different capo, but I'm playing the same chords and singing the same melody. I'm like, this feels really familiar. And obviously, like, there's so many songs and melodies, but it's
Mm.
sometimes like, especially if you've written it, it's like really in your brain. And then I don't know, it's like they just can kind of come for you as well. So maybe they just randomly had some like a reminder
Mm.
that, oh yeah, I really like that, and that happens as well. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, absolutely. I'm of like the firm belief that like everything happens for a reason, whether you know it or not. And like these
Mm,
ideas that are coming to you are there for a reason. Like you'll figure it
mm.
out one day, it might not be any day soon, but like there is intention somewhere.
I like that. We can go really deep with that because
Mm.
I wonder, and I don't know exactly what I believe with that because I'm like, everything happens for a reason. But then, like, I don't know, do we even manifest if everything just happens for a reason?
Oh,
Or is it just that whatever happens, it'll find a reason, but that
mm.
choice is actually important? Like, I don't know, we can
Yeah. Oh,
think about
it's an absolute like mind trick. But if I believe everything happens for a reason, it makes every bad thing turn into a good thing somehow.
Yeah. That is the positive of that. I
Mm.
really like that. And I guess maybe it's whether it is or not, if you perceive
Mm.
it as that, then you're looking at it in a way that sees that, and the positivity of that then
Mm.
influences your next decision. And yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's the real reason.
Sometimes it does feel a lot like you're like drawing strings between things like a crazy person with like oh it's like when they make like the boards in like murder investigations and there's the string everywhere. That's sometimes what it feels like. But like we're
Yeah.
gonna pretend it's a completely sane and normal thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. With balancing all these things as well, I would love to jump into like the songwriting and producing side of it. How how do you go about that? You said before sometimes there is a bit of a battle when you're working on one side, it's harder to flip to the other side. Is there a preferred way you like to go about constructing a song that you're both producing or writing, or is it sort of a thing where it'll just happen? You'll just know in the moment which one feels more right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's sometimes just about like finding the world that it fits in. So when I've done like bigger collections of songs and looking into the next ones, I feel like there's been a lot of work on songs that might never make the cut, or that we've kind of started producing together and then like just realized actually no, the way that I play that with my band, we should just do that as a
Mm.
live thing because that is actually the way that the song should be listened to. Kind of a lot of epiphanies and stuff
Mm.
as we have kind of gone about it. The process with these was more like, yeah, like written, and then I recorded it and went into the studio and did production like, for the majority of like the kind of a few songs at the moment. And then just kind of being like, all right, I feel like I've done all I can, and then passing
Mm.
it over to someone who I really respect and like they've just lifted the song up in a way that I knew they could if I kind of let
Mm.
go of it, so that's beautiful to have someone that there's a lot of trust there. Um, yeah, but then with some songs, it's just kind of going in and like letting my brain just run wild, and that's the other. Yeah.
Mm. I love that. Honestly, that's how it's got to be sometimes. You've just got to have that sort of like everything in all at once moment.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I've had someone tell me that I just chase dopamine. So I've tried to be a bit more intentional with kind of like I'll go into the studio listening to some songs that I just want to have in my subconscious, because if I listen to like dance music, I'll accidentally go in and make dance music. I'm like, this doesn't even fit in my genre at all.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of trying to at least put some limitation, because I think that can actually be really good to
Yeah,
take away rather than to give you more and more choices. Yeah.
absolutely. But also now I'm keen to hear that dance song. Like,
I'll link you some secret things.
oh, that's so cool. But yeah, in the spirit of listening to the songs you want to get you in the mood to do a writing session or a creating session, I would love to take a sneak peek into your playlist and hear which local artists in your local scene and like broader Australian scene have you been listening to and loving and you'd love to give a shout out to?
Ooh. Um, well, I feel like a lot of my just literal like best friends, like close people in my life, have ended up being, just absolutely incredible artists. So, and we weirdly like never make music together. But I think I've definitely noticed influence from them. So shout out to Ella Eon, um, who's taken the world by storm right now, and Effie Isabel.
Mm.
Uh, there's a couple of people who haven't released music yet, but yeah, that's local, and they've honestly also just like different genres of music that I didn't listen to before. Like, have introduced me to that. So I think up until maybe a couple of years ago, like 2 years, I hadn't really listened to Big Thief, Adrian Lenker, Julia Jacqueline, all of that kind of music. I don't even know what I was listening to before that. Because the way that they write lyrics, I think, has had a big influence on me. Yeah,
Yeah.
it came to mind.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I've definitely heard of Effie Isabel before, so I'm definitely going to give a listen to those suggestions. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, and while I'm there, I'm definitely going to be giving another listen to Life Is because it's a gorgeous track. I can't stop thinking about it. You know, sometimes when songs sit with you, like you've listened to it and then like you're going on with your life and then you just get like called back to the song. You're like, "Oh, wow, okay."
That's so nice. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, I truly think like in the Australian scene, we need more appreciation for our songwriters because sometimes good songwriting falls through the cracks in favor of those top 40 songs, like, you know, just with like the nice beat and like the loud instruments. But sometimes you need to sit down with the gorgeously written songs, and yours is one of those songs, and I love it.
Thank you so much. That's awesome to hear.
Well, thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
making the time to chat.
That's okay. Yeah, this was awesome. Thanks for what you're doing for the music scene. And it's like so beautiful to see someone so passionate, even just like, wanting to celebrate my little song. That's really nice.
Well, hey, when there's amazing music coming out of Australian artists, I am a simple person. I see good music, I go, yes, that's what I need. Let me support it in whatever way I can.
Oh, that's awesome.